Or let's light some of these PDFs and get after it. Yeah, now you say, that's Kevin Schultz.
I'll be that one guy that's at every party playing his guitar in the corner.
You'll be the guy from Animal House that somebody yanks it away and smashes it through the wall.
Yeah, speaking of which, can I borrow a guitar for the weekend?
Open bar and free cigars. I mean,
it was awesome.
It doesn't get any better than that.
Luckily, my boss is not big on drug testing.
Wait, you are your boss.
That's why he's not big on drug testing. New location.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. We are coming to you live from the Schultz backyard. Yeah, we're alive. We're not dead.
We are currently live.
You know, we're currently live.
We're currently live.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably not going to be that way forever. But
recorded live in front of a studio audience.
Yes. Or studio audience member.
A studio audience of a person.
A person, yeah.
We are the Smokey Guys. I'm CR Parsons.
And I'm Kevin Price.
Good to have you guys here with us. Thank you for putting up with that marathon episode that we had a couple of weeks ago. It took me a while to get that second half edited down, and I apologize for that, but we're keeping it rolling. Today happens to be, we are filming this on, of all days, 420.
420, woo! Happy Willie Nelson.
Do you celebrate 420? Let me rephrase that. Assuming none of your employers are watching, do you celebrate 420?
I did not today. I did not. Because of my employer. So I was in a seminar all day, and it was not a 420 seminar. So yeah,
that's a shame.
I had to sit around and learn stuff.
See, I always wait till 421 and pick up those after holiday sales.
Right.
Stock up, so save it, set it back for next year.
You go get the paper and find all the ads in the paper.
That's right.
See what dispensaries are having Black Friday sales.
Yeah, see who's got clearance aisle items from because the holidays over and they got to get rid of their extra stock.
Yeah, I liked it. I saw one today that a thing on, it was a meme. I guess. Anyways, it's like this guy's sitting there and he's just like looking annoyed. And it's like stoners when non-420 people are celebrating 420.
Well, I have to give credit where credit is due. That was not my joke. I saw that online somewhere.
If it ever becomes federally legal, then we could talk about it.
There you go.
Because then I could probably legally get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as of now, no, because they do drug tests at my office. So, it's not for me.
It happens. Luckily, my boss is not big on drug testing.
Wait, you are your boss.
That's why he's not big on drug testing. He's also not big on getting up before 10 a.m. So.
Or noon.
I met with KP and a buddy of ours yesterday for lunch, and they got there and I said good morning, and both of them were like, "Morning? This is lunch." I'm like, "No, this is breakfast."
Yeah, because it was 11. He still had sleepy in his eye.
I got up early. To meet you guys.
Yeah, and you got 2 clients out of the deal. So I mean, hey, there's always that.
Always a positive.
Early bird gets the people that need legal help. I don't know.
I don't know what the early bird gets, but the guy that wakes up at noon still gets work. Oh. Well, yeah. we have had an interesting couple of weeks because I don't think, did we film last week at all? I don't think we did.
Last week, yes, we did.
Did we?
Mm-hmm. We filmed.
Oh, that's right. We filmed early in the week, like
yes.
Sunday or Monday.
Yeah.
And then we didn't film over the weekend, which normally we film this on a Sunday or Monday.
Yeah, and then this time we're actually kind of getting, I don't know if you'll call it late or early, but because next week we're not going to have time to film. There's not really a day that fits in my schedule, at least.
Well, I'm going to film without you.
Okay, well,
actually, I may film some over the weekend because I'm going camping. Yes, I'm going to cosplay as homeless.
And you and our producer
sleep out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, our producer's going with me, and a bunch of other folks. We're going to do what you do when you camp in Oklahoma, which is light a fire, sit around the fire, smoke cigars, and drink whiskey.
I feel like we're about to be in a like 1950s movie about birds attacking us.
It does sound like something's moving back there.
I had to take a look. It sounded like a water main break or something. I'm like, what's going on back there?
Yeah, I thought it sounded like Sasquatch coming through the woods.
That could have been. I saw him walking down the street whenever I pulled in earlier.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. He kept looking back over his shoulder. Can't imagine why.
And you didn't get a picture? Because that's his good side. That's why he does that. He's like, are you getting my good side?
I think this Sasquatch was looking for cops.
No, we are going camping with a bunch of buddies. We're going to go. Some of us are going to tent camp.
Yes.
Myself. Some of us are going to RV camp. Those with money.
Yeah.
And some are going to sleep up in a cabin.
Oh, well.
Because they have wives that don't like to rough it. My wife's not going, otherwise we would probably be in a cabin.
Yeah. I got a busy weekend ahead, too. Tomorrow night's a birthday party for one of our Smokey compatriots, our brothers of the Leaf, Mr. Darren Davis.
Happy birthday, Darren.
Early birthday, actually belated birthday, because this will come out way after the birthday party.
That's right.
But yeah, we're getting together, going to have some cigars and steaks and have an evening of that. And then Saturday is a big trip to Norman for a soccer game for my youngest child. So it should be interesting.
Are they going to beat OU this time?
I hope so. That's the goal. I love OU, but as long as my kid comes out on top, I'm a happy camper.
No, what age does he play?
Right as I took a drink.
Hey, I was a waiter in a former life.
So he's U13, 12-year-olds.
Okay.
And if they win this game, I think that puts them, pretty much locks them into first place for the season. They should be good. I think they win the head-to-head matchup against everybody at that point. And
very cool.
And we get to finish out the season and have a good run of it. So looking forward to that. Speaking of OU, that's the spring game this Saturday. Should be about 80,000 plus in there making noise.
Hey, the one game OU's guaranteed to win.
Yeah. He keeps making these jokes. Just wait till we get to the SEC.
Yeah, then I can make the jokes about us beating you.
Yeah, they will be jokes.
I cannot wait till y'all join the SEC and you can come to an at-home Ole Miss game and party in the Grove. There is nothing like tailgating in the Grove. Everybody in Oklahoma, in Texas, everywhere in the Big 12 talks about tailgating and how awesome tailgating is. And some of them have really fun tailgates. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of fun tailgates. But even in the SEC, when people talk about tailgating, they will talk about how unbelievable it is at Alabama or at all of these other schools that have really great tailgating. And then they'll go, but have you ever tailgated at the Grove? There is nothing like it. There is nothing like it, and I can't wait till you get to experience that.
It'll be awesome. I look forward to that too.
So we'll have a Smokey Guys podcast
from
on
the
road,
Grove.
from the Grove. Yeah.
Actually,
that would be awesome.
I'll have to check Ole Miss's rules because I don't know if you can smoke anywhere on campus. Because it is a state school, and you know how they are with those stupid things.
That's for forgiveness.
All the woke folks trying to fix things.
Man, I made the mistake of posting or sharing a post that one of our local restaurants here, I went in to eat the other day, and she asked me if I would do some social media photos because their photographer was in doing their shoot for the week, and she said, "Hey, would you mind getting in on some of our photos?" And I said, "Oh, no problem." And so I'd already ordered a couple of beers, and so she was serving them to me one at a time, and So this one in particular, I mean, because of our rules here, anyway, she had to open the beer, but we just set the cap back on it and set it back in the refrigerator. So when I went up to do the shoot, she just grabbed my next beer and handed it to me. And Mr. Eagle Eye producer over there has to spot that in the post and pointed out, hey, it's still got the cap on it. I'm like, well, technically, if I'd have just moved it a little bit, it probably would have fallen right off.
Right.
Because it was already open, but...
That's funny.
But no, I put that up, and the very first two comments were, one of them was something about Bud Light, and the other one was something about Bud getting woke, or I don't keep up with that stuff, because to be honest, I really don't care. I've never been a Bud Light drinker, so it didn't affect me at all.
Yeah.
And it cracks me up that now, I guess, whenever I do that Luke Combs song, whenever I'm out playing shows, I'm going to have to change it to, long neck ice cold beer finally broke your heart.
Yes. No kidding.
It seems to really have upset some people, and I hope I don't offend anybody, but at the same time, I really care less about the beer. It's not my deal.
Somebody that was playing a concert the other night, they have a song that has a line about Bud Light, and they changed it to Coors Light.
Oh, wow.
Because of all of this. I tell you, this is one of those things that Bud made a huge mistake and then doubled down on their mistake as opposed to backing up.
Yeah.
They pulled the we're not apologizing, and they gave one reason, and then they changed it to another reason, and then they gave a third reason, and now they're trying to pander to the folks that are boycotting them. And the problem is they awakened a giant that they didn't know they were awakening.
You know what they say about when you're digging yourself into a hole, stop digging.
Exactly.
Apparently, they didn't know when to stop. So.
Yeah. They
find themselves at the bottom with the shovel.
Yeah.
But again, it's something that I could care less about. It is so doesn't affect me that I'm just like moved on. I mean, like I say, I never even stopped. It wasn't that it ever interrupted anything in my life. I'm just I drink bourbon. If I do drink beer,
you're usually
I'm drinking
craft.
stouts. Yeah, I'm drinking craft beers, and so that's just kind of my thing. If I do drink domestics, it's Coors or it's Miller Lite or something like that. But I've never, but I haven't ever sold my soul to one particular beer either. It's like whatever.
The best meme I've seen from that whole thing so far is the guy who posted a picture of him with a Bud Light bottle, and he goes, "I don't know what y'all's problem is. Bud Light's been pretending to, or water's pretending to be beer the whole time."
Yeah.
So I was like, you're right. That is kind of a trans beer. It's water pretending to be beer.
Well, this one's not. This is Dice Goblin Reserve from 903 Brewing, which we've talked about before.
Nice.
At 12% alcohol. Yeah, there is all beer in this one.
Yeah.
It is tasty.
12%. Lightweight.
Yeah. It's Texas. Yeah. Sherman, Texas. It's awesome beer. Love it.
That's cool. I love 903. They make some amazing beers. And their stouts are really good. Yeah. And I can't say that about every craft brewery. I walk into a lot of I'm a big stout guy. If I'm going to drink a beer, I
what
walk
kind of beer
in,
do you like? It's a big stout guy, get it.
Oh, smart ass. If I walk into a craft brewery, I don't even bother to look at all their names and descriptions because they're always so made up BS. Yeah. I just walk up and I go, what do you have that's dark and malty? Yeah. I want as far away from an IPA as you can get. Yeah. I want dark and I want malty.
Yeah, I like I said, I dig what they got going on and always have. And that's really working out great for this evening because, as you can see, he's sitting over there in a short sleeve shirt. I'm sitting here in a jacket because we have a cold front pushing through.
Yeah, and we have a slight chill. It's
gonna get down in the.
It's not
40s,
80 right now.
Maybe 30s. So,
no, it's gonna get down into the high 40s over the weekend. It's not even that now. It's probably 50 out here right now.
Yeah, but I just admit it. I'm someone that gets cold easily, so I was taking no chances tonight. It's not happening.
Yeah. Well, we had a very interesting weekend. If you have never been to a wedding involving a bunch of Marines, who many of whom had a bad trip overseas, I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
It was quite an interesting wedding.
It was one of my favorite shows we've ever played as a band, though, because it was awesome. They welcomed us in with open arms. We weren't
Absolutely.
treated as help.
No, not at all.
We were treated as though we were family and part of the wedding, which was awesome.
Yes.
And then the plan for the evening was we were supposed to play for like an hour and a half or so, and then we were going to turn on some dance music for the rest of the wedding goers to, dance to. A bunch of rap, stuff like that. They were going to have,
they were going to have a dance party.
Yeah, let them have that, because we're not exactly, and we're a dance band, I guess.
We're a country dance band.
Yeah, but they wanted to dance, and I get that.
Yeah, they wanted to shake their ass, and we're more of a two-stepping band.
At least that's what the plan was. But we started playing, and we got about an hour and a half into this thing, and next thing we know, I'm telling them, hey, we're gonna call it quits here. We're gonna let the DJ play the dance music, and the crowd went crazy and said, no, you guys keep playing.
They were not about to let us stop. It was pretty awesome.
I got a nice text from the bride today, and she said, thank you again for coming out and doing it. She goes, I vaguely remember telling you no to playing the playlist and to keep playing your own music.
But wasn't she the one that created the playlist you were going to play?
Yeah. So,
hey, the bride gets what the bride wants. That's what it comes down to.
It's her day, so we did our best to make sure that they had a great time.
This was an interesting one, though, because this was the first time I have ever seen an official wedding tattoo at the wedding.
Yeah, had a tattoo artist come out and do
a bride and groom tattoo. They were different.
Yep.
But they each did a tattoo live at their reception.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was wild.
That was very cool. But I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about probably the wildest part of the night.
Well, Schultz was asking me about that show just before we started shooting, and I told him some of what happened through the evening. But I told him he was going to have to wait for this story because I wanted him to hear this story while we were doing it live. So I will let you go ahead and start, and I will tell my part of it.
Okay. So as we're sitting there playing, and we're playing a bunch of good old classic country covers that people really like to sing along to, and we're just having a good time. One of the veteran Marines comes up and gets a chair.
That's a good way to say that. I always say former Marine, and I get corrected every time.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a former Marine.
No, they're Marines forever.
We are just reserved until we're needed.
That's right.
Old Marines never die. They just wait.
Yeah. And so veteran Marine comes up, puts a chair in front of me and faces away from me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay. And we'd gotten to know most of these guys because we went to the bachelor party and had a great time. We got to know a lot of them, hear a lot of the stories. And anyway, he comes up, sits down, faces away from me, and he's sitting there just listening to the music. And I thought, okay, that's an interesting way to have a good time, but I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to play music. And so we're sitting there, we're playing along pretty good. And in a minute, here comes the groom, who was, I guess, is it platoon mate? I don't know.
He was overseas with
they
him.
were. Yeah,
I'm
they
not
were
sure exactly
deployed together.
Right, they were deployed together.
Anyway, he comes walking up and he's got a bottle of peg leg porker, and I giggle because
we know what's coming.
Peg leg porker is produced in Nashville by a guy who has peg leg porker barbecue. Well, he's called peg leg porker because he's missing part of his leg. Well, the Marine that sat down in front of me had lost part of his leg in Afghanistan as well.
Yep.
And so as the groom comes up, he shows him the bottle, and they talk about it for a second and kind of get a good laugh. And then he takes off his prosthetic leg. He holds it up, and our buddy pours his bottle into there, completely full.
The entire bottle fills up. I mean,
it just fills up the leg there, and they each take a sip out of the leg, and then they pass it to the bride. She takes a sip. A couple other people take sips, and then here it comes, and they come right up to me, and they hand me the prosthetic leg. And at that point, you're just looking out at like 40 Marines that you don't want to let down. So by gosh, you take a drink out of the leg.
When in Rome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it passes to CR, then it passes to our guitar player, and then our drummer, and
Now I have to tell
it
you,
makes its way around.
I have to tell you, our drummer did not see what happened because he's the drummer. He's back in the back. He's behind Kevin.
Behind me.
He
Can't
did
see
not
anything.
see what happened, so he did not know exactly what was going
He
on.
thought it was beer.
He thought it was beer.
Oh, no.
So he takes that thing and takes a big old swig and then goes, "Oh, that's whiskey." It was so funny.
Quite hysterical.
I know
But-
I've got pictures of me and the guitarist
And the drummer.
and
I've
the
got-
drummer.
I've got mine.
Okay, do you have yours?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can send them to you.
Send them to me, and I'll post them with this as we tell the story, because that was just So we all drank out of the prosthetic leg, but I will tell you that was one of those things that I know veteran Marines have a weird sense of humor, especially about those types of things, and that was one of those moments where you just feel honored to be
Yes.
involved,
No doubt.
to be thought of as part of this group.
Yeah.
It was weirdly an honor to drink out of the guy's leg.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
I mean, there was no two ways about it.
And I've talked to some of my other buddies, and none of them have ever done it. So I feel even more honored.
There you go. But I tell you, you realize we are, 15, 20 minutes into this cigar podcast and we haven't mentioned cigars.
Oh no,
There were a lot of cigars that night.
there were a ton of cigars smoked.
Those guys are all cigar guys, and it was awesome because...
And gals, there's gals
Absolutely.
there too.
I think everybody was smoking that night. It was great because the bachelor party was at a cigar bar here in town, Ash,
Yep.
here in town, and it was a great night.
Oh yeah.
Great night hanging out with those guys. And then at the reception, you brought a box of cigars. I know the groom brought a box of cigars. I had a handful. I know several other people had a handful of cigars that everybody just put on the table and just had at.
Open bar and free cigars. I mean,
It was awesome.
It doesn't get any better than that.
Not at all.
So yeah, it was like I say, amazing event, a heck of an honor to be involved, and can't
Now,
thank them enough.
We have to tell you guys a little bit about how we came to be part of this group, because this was another huge honor
Yes.
that we got to participate in. 2021, a buddy of ours named Adam Green, who owns Max Barbecue. We've probably mentioned Max's on here before,
Yeah,
I
I think so.
But he owns Max's Barbecue. He's a veteran Marine.
Yes.
And he called Kevin up and asked us to play for this event he was having. It was the Marine Corps birthday.
Marine Corps birthday.
And he was also doing this other big event.
Yes, yeah. It's a fundraiser for a film that'll be coming out hopefully in 2024 called 17 Carvings.
I think they're sending it to festivals this year.
Okay. Yeah.
And then it'll be
They
released.
were thinking
in
Sundance in 2024, and
Yeah.
then it hopefully get released sometime after that. But the kind of the premise behind this is our friend Anthony Marquez was in a platoon that lost 17 members in 7 months in Afghanistan, in Sangin, and they whenever he got back over here, he was kind of trying to figure out how to cope and deal, and he took up chainsaw carving as a hobby and started carving these the field cross.
Yeah, the
Battlefield cross.
Battlefield cross. Yeah.
So he started carving those, and he thought he would just deliver one to each of the Gold Star families from his platoon, and that has now turned into, I think, many other Gold Star families receiving the Battlefield Cross as well, carved by him. But
Turns out his brother was a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Worked out in LA for 13 years, worked up in Oregon for another 13 years, so he's been making films for a long time. And when his brother and he were talking about the story, his brother's like, we have got to film this and tell this story. It tells the story of the Marines that were there, it tells the story of the families afterwards, and they literally took an RV and went all over the country to deliver these 17 battle crosses. And so it's really, really cool, and I expect it to be a really moving movie. I haven't seen it yet, and I hope to before too long.
And we found out at the bachelor party that the two of us, are in the movie. So, like I say, we played a fundraiser. Our band did. Or actually, it was just you and I.
Acoustic.
We played a fundraiser for the movie for the Marine Corps birthday, and then we did a big auction where we auctioned off a couple of Battlefield Crosses. We auctioned off a whole bunch of other items and raised a bunch of money for the movie.
One of the cooler things that they did was they had bottles of whiskey in a wooden box, and each wooden box had the name and the rank and a little bit of a story of each of the 17 soldiers that were lost over there. And they auctioned those off, and for each one that was auctioned, the person who won the auction got one, and one went to their families. Yeah. And I thought that was really cool. Now, I know Adam ended up with one on his shelf.
Yes.
I believe you ended up with one on your shelf
as well.
And I know we have not cracked that one open yet.
No.
I don't know when we're planning to crack it open, but I imagine it will be when the movie comes out and we sit down to watch the movie.
That sounds like a great plan, because if things go as we were talking about the other night, there may be some movie premieres in our future where we get to actually go and play music at the movie.
Yep.
At the premieres. And
see, that'll be great because we can skip the red carpet and just perform, and we don't have to do that whole red carpet stuff.
I've kind of had this weird idea that it'd be cool. I'd love to meet the family of the Marine that I got his bottle and maybe crack it with them if they're bourbon drinkers, which would be awesome.
That would be spectacular. Even if they weren't bourbon drinkers, if they were just present when we crack it open.
Yeah.
That would be unbelievable.
But
But you talk about an honor. As a couple of guys who did not serve in the military. I came from a long line of military family. All of my family were in the military. My dad was in the Air Force. My grandfather was in the Army, I believe. All of my uncles were in the military. My stepdad was in the Navy. I know you have some military in your family. But for a couple of guys who were not in the military to be asked to do anything involving the Marine Corps birthday was huge.
Oh, big time. And it was so cool having, like I say, all those Marines come up and talk to us, and and they all would ask that, have y'all, where did you serve, this and that? It's like, no, I didn't, and I respect everything y'all have ever done.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't do what we do without them doing what they do.
Exactly.
And that's why we have the utmost respect for our armed forces. And,
absolutely.
And we do anything they ask, man. We get asked all the time to do stuff, and we'll step up every time.
Every time. But yeah, it was a great experience, and that was very cool that we were allowed in on the peg leg porter.
Yeah,
porker.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to call it peg leg porter.
Well, because you love porter beers.
I love porter. I mean, that would be a perfect name for a porter.
I've actually eaten at the restaurant.
Oh, have you?
In Nashville, and it's really good barbecue if you happen to get to Nashville. It's a really cool place. And
last time I was in Nashville, I went to a craft brewery called
Jackalope.
Yeah, Jackalope.
I wonder how I knew that.
It was probably because you sent me there. I was gonna be in Nashville, so I did what I always do when I'm gonna be somewhere. I messaged Kevin and go, where do I eat? Where do I drink? He sent me to Jackalope. That was really good beer.
Yeah.
If you haven't been to Jackalope in Nashville, take a chance.
Well, I liked it. I had a weird thing, and the hockey team I was on was called the Jackalopes.
Okay.
So that's kind of my thing. I like jackalope stuff.
Very cool.
I'm weird.
Hey, that makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense.
Mythical animals.
Yep.
Rabbits with horns on their heads.
Well, what are you smoking tonight?
This is a Plasencia Alma Fuerte Salomon.
Ah, nice.
Love this cigar.
It's a very good cigar.
It's one of my favorites by far, and I had it in there and it needed to be smoked, so it was calling my name. What about you?
I'm smoking a Sancho Panza. I know very little about it other than the fact that this is the Maduro, because I know they also have a Connecticut or a natural. I'm not sure which it is, but I prefer the Maduro. I found out today that I'm very predictable, apparently. walked into our shop, Omerta, here in town, and I grabbed a whole bunch of cigars, about $120 worth of cigars, and walked up to the counter, and Wayne, the guy at the counter, immediately looked at me and he goes, "Oh, going out of town?" I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
I said, "Actually, I'm going camping." He goes, "Well, usually if you walk in here on a Thursday or Friday and pick up a whole big handful, I know you're leaving town because you're stocking up." Am I that predictable?
I tell you, I smoked a great cigar today that wasn't even out on the shelf yet at another shop here in town, Classic Cigars downtown. When I walked in, our buddy Jeff was there working, and I just asked, I said, "Hey, is there anything new that I need to have?" And he was pointing out some stuff to me, and he goes, "Oh, and I've got these. They're not out yet." And so he let me partake in one of each. I got it's the new Oscar Heaven and Hell series.
Okay.
They have a Connecticut and a Maduro, and I've already smoked the Connecticut.
How was it? Because I'm not big on Connecticut.
I tell you, I'm not either. It's got a little punch up front, which was a surprise.
Okay.
And then it just smooths right out, and it's a great kind of creamy, easy smoke. I would do it again. It's one that it's probably more for me like a morning smoke.
Okay.
Because I like the more full-bodied stuff.
Right.
Anytime after lunch, but up until lunch, I think that smoke right there would be perfect. Or if it's just a day where you just want a kind of an easy smoke, nothing too harsh, that fits the bill. And Oscar nailed it again.
Nice.
I mean, they really did a good job.
I have rarely had an Oscar that I was not overly impressed with.
Yeah.
There was one time, I think you and I both had the same reaction, and I cannot remember what it's called.
It's camouflaged orange.
Yes, it's the one in camouflage orange band. And I was sitting there smoking it, and I'm like, I'm not overly impressed with this cigar. And Oscar usually blows me away. And then I stopped and went, wait a second. Okay, this is not spectacular for an Oscar cigar. Compared to a lot of others, it's probably spectacular, but I have such a high expectation because Oscar has done so well by me for so many different varieties of cigars.
Yeah, and it's bound to happen at some point. They're bound to lay one out there that you go, "Oh, this is just not my cup of tea."
Yeah, not my flavor profile, not my favorite. But yeah, it happens. Now they're having an Oscar event coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys won't be able to be there because this will come out long after.
I'll have already bought my cigars and smoked most of them by the time this one comes out.
He'll be waiting on a box to arrive because he always manages to order a box that they don't have in stock.
Yeah, it'll probably be one of those Woodies that Oscar's making. Mm-hmm. If you haven't seen the Woody, it is, let's see.
100 ring gauge.
It's 100 ring gauge. It's like 2 feet long.
Yeah. It's like the size of your arm.
Yeah, it's like 2 feet long, 100 ring gauge, and they run about $60.
Yeah.
So that'll probably be what I order.
Yeah, we need
just
to
to see what it looks like.
We need to get a couple of those just to smoke on the podcast, just to.
Oh dear Lord!
See how long of
like
a podcast
18 episodes to get through.
What are you smoking today? Well, I'm still smoking the Woody.
Still smoking the same thing I had 5 episodes ago. It's lovely. But on the plus side, I haven't smoked any other cigars.
That's right. That's right. Hey, when your doctor tells you 1 cigar a day, that's the cigar you want.
Yeah.
That or that April Fool's. I know Schultz has one of those April Fools, which is what, a 70 or 80 ring gauge, or is it 90? It's a 90 because it's a 9 by 90.
9 by 90.
9 by 90.
Yeah.
9 by 90. Big old cigar.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. What is that, 24 by 100? That's got to be just insane.
Yeah, I thought the femur was big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm taking a bunch of diggers for the weekend.
Nice.
Because I figure we're going to be sitting around a fire smoking cigars for hours. I might as well take a cigar that's going to last me hours.
Any other big plans while you're out there? I mean, you guys going to play cornhole or no fishing?
No. People do go fishing and other stuff.
Just picking ticks and.
I'll take the guitar just to torture everybody. I'll be that one guy that's at every party playing his guitar in the corner.
You'll be the guy from Animal House that somebody yanks it away and smashes it through the wall.
Yeah. Speaking of which, can I borrow a guitar for the weekend? Oh, speaking of music, I know you've been to a concert recently. How was it?
The Co-Wetzel show. The opener's amazing. Red Shahan, he's out of Fort Worth, but I think he went to Texas Tech. But yeah, he opened the show just awesome. Steelwoods followed that, and Steelwoods always put on a great show.
Steelwoods are
They're
amazing.
so dang good.
Yeah.
Even though Rowdy passed away, the guitar player, I'm telling you, they still just rock, and they still put on a great show. And then Co comes out, and Co is just, I know he's supposed to be like Texas country, but I'm going to tell you, that guy is a rock show.
Yeah.
He is rock hands down, and it's amazing. He really tears it up, puts on a great show. The theatrics of it all. I mean, he stands there and sings and doesn't really move around much, but the screen and the backdrop and all that is really well crafted.
Multimedia sensation.
Yeah, and he had flame pots and he had fireworks. I mean, he had the whole bit. It was true rock and roll. Awesome show. But the one thing that really stood out to me was the fact that the sound was equally good for all three bands.
Nice.
And a lot of times you go to a show and the opener doesn't sound as good,
right.
and the middle guy doesn't sound as good, but sounds better than the opener, and then by the time you get to the headliner, it's just amazing.
Right.
Man, from front to back, the sound was perfect for these guys, and I think
awesome.
Coe's Camp did those guys a favor by letting them be seen for who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at the end of the day, Coe knows how great his show is, so he has nothing to fear by having the openers look good.
Right.
And that as a band leader, that's where I want to get to, is where it's like, no, I don't want to cheat anybody that's opening for us. I want them to sound as good as they possibly can.
Yeah.
Because I want to, again, a rising tide raises all ships. I want to bring everybody up, and I just love the way he did that.
Yeah, we run into that in the comedy community because I have worked with some bigger names. One in particular who I won't name by name because I don't want to, but
Solly Poor?
He brought, well, yeah, sure. Let's go with that. He brought his own feature, and his feature was terrible. I mean, terrible.
Oh, yeah.
And I was convinced after watching the show, after watching him get on stage and do his shtick from the 80s, and just quote his movie lines and then tell stories, that the reason he brought a feature that stunk was because he didn't want to have to follow somebody who had just killed the room.
Right.
Because I know I and another local comedian opened for him, and we killed the room. Yeah. And then the feature just ate it for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then brought the headliner up, and he was fine. I mean, he had his audience there, so they were into
They're going to laugh no matter what.
Exactly.
Well, I went and saw Fluffy, Gabriel Iglesias,
Mm-hmm.
and he kind of did the Co-Wetzel thing, because his openers were all hilarious.
Did Martine open for him?
Yes, Martine was there, and he had two other guys.
See, the one time I've seen Fluffy, Martine was not with him, and it drove me nuts.
And I tell you, man, he's another one. He allows, great people in front of him, but he allows them to be themselves and allow them to do their thing, and that is really, I'm impressed, and I'm always, I don't know if these guys are great guys when you meet them or not, but that would be something I would say to them is, hey, man, I saw the show. I was really impressed with the way you handled that.
Yeah.
And that speaks volumes to your character and your confidence in your abilities, because, man, it's not hard. That's not easy to do. There's no doubt, because we all have off nights. And
right.
What about if you have one of those off nights and you've got two, somebody who's really good in front of you, and then you have an off night? It's going to make you look bad. But
yeah.
I don't think they worry about those kind of things.
No, and I would say 9 out of 10 of the big names that I've worked with have not had any stress about that, because they're so good. They know who they are and know where they are.
Yeah.
And they know they don't have anything to worry about. They can keep a room.
Yeah.
Without any hesitation. So yeah, it was that's kind of cool. I got to go to a concert last week. I took my mother to a concert. It was called Roots and Boots. And I almost skipped over it. We were looking for concerts to go to, and I was just thumbing through, seeing who was coming, and I say thumbing through like I'm looking at pages. No, I was looking
Thumbing
online.
through the internet. You could swipe, I guess. If you had
I'm
a
old.
touchscreen computer.
I'm old. I was thumbing through a magazine to figure out. No. I was thumbing through the internet to see who was coming, and I saw Roots and Boots, and I just skipped it because I'm like, who knows what that is.
Yeah.
Well, then I read something else later about a couple of guys that were coming, and I'm like, when? And I looked back, and it's Roots and Boots.
Yeah.
Well, Roots and Boots is something that, Sammy Kershaw put together. A lot of those guys from the 90s had a dip in the 2000s and were struggling to get shows because all the young guys were coming up.
Yeah.
And the young guys were so different than what the 90s country was that they weren't even paying homage to the 90s country. And so a lot of those guys struggled. Well, they put that together, and Sammy will tell you, he tells the story about putting it together, and every producer that he talked to going, it'll never work. We can't do that. That's all old folks who aren't making it anymore. They're not in the top 40. Nobody's doing big things now. They've now been doing it for 13 years. Yeah. And he has different people with him at different times, but this one was Sammy Kershaw, Colin Ray, and Aaron Tippin.
Oh yeah.
Great show.
I bet.
Great show, because it was such a great show because it was a perfect combination of people. Yeah. Because you've got Sammy Kershaw, who sings and performs as much like an old country artist as you can imagine. Yeah. I mean, he sounds like George Jones these days.
Wow.
Not George Jones in his peak in the 60s, but George Jones in his later years. Yeah. Sammy sounds so much like him. He's just old school Louisiana country.
Nice.
And then you've got I keep trying to say Travis Tritt, not Travis Tritt. Aaron Tippin, who just gets out there and has fun with the audience, and he does the Aaron Tippin thing. Aaron Tippin is very much America first, salute the troops, a lot of classic 90s country. Yeah. And then you've got Colin Ray, who was basically a rock singer, even in the 90s. Yeah. I mean, he was known more for his...
He had the ballads, though. He
was known more for his ballads.
Yeah, his ballads were always great.
But even his ballads sounded like... they didn't sound as much country as they did rock ballad.
Okay.
And so that combination of people worked really well. But it was really cool because they came out and they all performed together for a few songs, and then each one of them came out and performed like 3 songs. And of course they were all their biggest hits. Yeah. And then they all came back out together again and sang some rock and roll stuff. And then their encore was all classic country. Nice. So it was really cool. It was really cool to see those guys, and they've all seemed to hold up well. Yeah. Aaron
still looks like a bodybuilder.
He does. It was so funny because he was all over the stage, and about halfway through, my wife leans over and she goes, "I don't even think he's breaking a sweat." I'm like, "Babe, that's because he still does burpees every morning. Look at him. Look at him. Yeah. He still looks like he's in shape to go overseas right now." Yeah. I mean, he could join the military and be right up there with all those guys. He is fit as he can be.
I got to meet him back in the 90s, and I remember thinking, because he was short. Mm-hmm. He's not a very tall guy, but man, he had a grip on him like, a Mack truck. You're just like, holy mackerel, he's going to crush my hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a super nice guy, and fit as can be, and it's like...
It's funny because anymore he looks like Sam Elliott. I guarantee you, he could play a part next to Sam Elliott, and you would think they were brothers.
Okay.
He looks so much like Sam Elliott these days.
I thought you were going to say they were like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Dom DeLuise twins.
No,
thing.
not
Dom DeLuise.
Not Dom DeLuise.
Shoot.
Danny DeVito.
Yeah, Danny DeVito. I don't know where that came from. Boy, I must need to go home and watch a Dom DeLuise movie or something.
I need to watch Cannonball Run.
Yeah, I haven't thought of that name in forever. That was a Freudian slip of some kind.
Yeah, we need to watch Cannonball Run. I haven't watched Cannonball Run in a long time. Yeah. That'd be cool.
I want to do the Cannonball Run someday.
Do you?
I think that would be awesome.
I tell you, have you watched any of the videos of the guys that were doing it during COVID?
Yes.
Yeah, they broke some rules.
They probably broke some records too.
Oh, they broke a
records.
lot of records. All of the records fell.
I bet.
During COVID, because even around here, I thought it was funny because I was driving back and forth to your house a lot.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of highway, but there was nobody on the highway.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, everything was shut down, so people weren't going places. But people literally stayed at home, and so you had fully open roads.
Yeah.
And cops were nowhere to be seen.
No, and
it was
street racing.
It was
when
weird.
you did see people out, they were flying against each other, and yeah, there was one night I jumped on the highway out here, and like I don't know, 8, maybe 10 of those little, I don't know what you call them, Fast and the Furious type cars.
Yeah,
they all come on behind me, and they literally lined up across the 3 or 4 lanes.
Yeah,
and then all took off.
Yeah,
and it was just a race down to my street. And then they flipped up, got on the other side, and went back the other way. I'm like, God, they were flying.
But what was funny was after all of that, people forgot how to drive.
Oh, yeah.
I swear, all of late 2020 into 2021, every time I got out on the highway, it was like everybody out there had forgotten how to drive in 2 months.
I agree. And it hadn't got much better.
No.
Where we at time-wise?
I think people don't know how to drive in general.
48.
Ooh, 48. That's not bad.
We're going to make this one a short one. We'll just sit here and smoke cigars the rest of the night.
So we went to Gamble's tonight.
Yes.
Have you had their beer?
I have.
They're good, man. That place is awesome.
Yeah.
Gamble's Pasteria here in Tulsa.
Yeah, owned by our good buddy Hunter Gamble.
That's right.
Amongst one of his, he is a
a multi-entrepreneur.
Exactly. I was going to say, he is a guy that loves to put like all these different things together, and he has like a distillery, and at one point it was a distillery / taco place, and then he has the Pasteria, which also became a gelato thing, and now it's doing beer also.
Wine.
And it's a market and wine. Yeah, he's doing all these things, and he's a guy that does so many things, and I guess his mind just moves a million miles a minute, and he's good at all of them. The thing is, like, he's got a coffee shop too, which I think also was like a welcome center or something. Yeah, I always give him a hard time because I'm always just like, oh man, I cannot wait to go to your muffler shop / taco place.
Exactly. His pasta carbonara is some of the best I've had in the state of Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's legit.
By far.
Well, and people, it's funny because I being a foodie, I follow a lot of these food review sites, and the one thing that a lot of people will get on there and knock him for is his pasta is not al dente. And I'm like, his pasta is fresh.
Yeah.
You can't get al dente pasta out of fresh pasta.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah, not what most people call al dente. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because you have to have dried pasta to get that chew that people think of as al dente.
Yeah.
His pasta is perfectly al dente. It's just fresh
fresh pasta.
Fresh pasta al dente.
And it's so good.
Yeah, so good.
We were talking to this lady that was waiting on her order, and she said that, what's that new speakeasy in Tulsa, like Abstract?
Boston Abstract and Title?
Yes. And I guess during Christmas, he made a whiskey, and they were having it as a special down there. And I didn't know if you guys had tried that.
I've tried several of the whiskeys he's made. I don't think I've had that one.
Yeah, I've had the 1907 and the 1907 Refiner's Blend, something like that.
But this is one of those callback things, but he actually is the guy that made the whiskey bottles for the Marine Special event, where the two bottles were auctioned off, and anyway,
right.
The whiskey came from Hunter Gamble, so
there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay Distilling.
Yep.
And he does like vodka and some other different spirits.
Some of that in there.
So it's good spot. It's good stuff, man. I'd highly recommend it.
Very good stuff. Very good
But
stuff.
he's a cool cat, man. He's lived all over the world, I think.
Oh, has he?
Yeah. He's experienced all these things, and then brings that knowledge back, and then puts it into action. And I think he's got like a Tex-Mex barbecue thing he's working on, concept, and I mean he's got so many things in the works.
He's one of those guys that he has an idea and he goes for it, as opposed to most of us who have an idea and we're like, oh man, I really want to do this someday. And then we never get around to actually getting it done.
Yeah.
He's one that he has an idea and he does it.
Yep.
I respect that.
I do too. Like I say, he's a great dude. And we frequent his establishments quite often.
We do.
But does he smoke cigars?
No, he does not. I don't think he has time to stop and smoke a cigar.
I don't think he has. Yeah, this would. Yeah. There's no telling what cool ideas he would come up with if he did, though.
No kidding. He would completely change the cigar industry
Right.
if he smoked cigars. Well, let's wrap this one up a little short since we've had such long episodes lately. Give people a little bit of a break. Where can they find you online?
At KP Troubadour, at Kevin Price Band, should pull up all those lovely pages that you can get to. What about you?
I'm CR Parsons Comedy or CR Parsons Comedian on all the social medias. And you can always email me at booking@crparsons. If you have anything you want to tell us about the podcast, any questions you have, if you just want us to read something stupid, send it to us. We'll read it.
Go to the Smokey Guys at gmail.com.
That too.
You can just fire it away, and somebody will read it and respond or not, or I don't know.
Schultz, do you have anything you want to shout out?
Hope we have good weather this weekend.
I think we're going to have cool weather, but I think it'll be
rain.
good. Yeah, as long as we don't have rain, it'll be good. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and until next time, stay smoky.